Ahoy, hoy, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The O Show. I'm O, and I'm here for your amusement. Okay, so I have a fun movie we're going to talk about today. But, the other day, so I'm deciding if I'm going to keep my Disney Plus. I love Disney Plus. I love that if I wanted to watch Dumbo, I could just go watch Dumbo and not have to worry about movies going back to the Disney vault. That bullshit they did to us in the 90s, early 2000s. But y'all, they raised the price. My price is going up this month. And I'm like, ugh, should I keep it? There's shows on there I do like. The Mandalorian. I like the Percy Jackson show they came out with. One season, which was a while ago. So I don't know what the holdup is for the next season. But, I don't know. But as I was just kind of looking around to see, is this worth it? So as I was kind of going through to see if it was worth keeping, I rolled across Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, right? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know why I never bought this movie, but I guess I need to add it to my collection. But I did actually sit down and watch it, and all the memories flooded back. So Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a movie that came out in 1989, and it was a great, great film. I remember it came out and people always, every time I went to someone's house, you want to watch a movie? Yeah, what movie? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Okay. But it was fun. I didn't fight it. I sat and watched it and had a good time. So, that's what we're going to talk about today. You know what's weird? So the movie has a cartoon in front of it. It was a Roger Rabbit cartoon called Tummy Trouble. Do you guys remember that? But Joe was always so weird when they came out with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was kind of like this newer Disney character. And I thought he was just going to be everywhere. And he seemed like he was everywhere for a year or two. And then they just stopped doing stuff with him. Which was so weird. They created a whole bunch of other Disney characters along the way. And they're still around. So I don't understand whatever happened to Roger Rabbit. So in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, we have the Selinsky family. Okay, so you have the dad. His name is Wayne. He's being played by Rick Moranis. Aw, I miss seeing Rick Moranis in movies. You have the wife, Diane, and she's played by Marsha Strassman. It took me a while to figure out if this is the same lady that was the wife on Welcome Back, Carter. She's so different looking to me. It was a while ago when I found it out, but yeah, that was crazy. And what's crazy in this movie too? For some reason, her hair keeps changing colors. At one point, it's red-ish. And then as the movie keeps going on, it turns blonde. So I don't know if they knew what color they wanted this lady's hair. Did anyone else notice that? They have a daughter named Amy, and then they have a son named Nick. Nick, I don't think did a lot of acting. I think he did Edward Scissorhands. He was a little brother in Edward Scissorhands. But he did go in and do the sequel to this movie. But I don't know if I've seen him anything else after that. But anyway, next door you have the Thompson family. So you have the dad, Russ Sr. He's played by an actor named Matt Frewer. And if you're a child of the 90s, you would know him from his character Max Headroom. Yeah, that's that guy. The wife's name is May. The oldest son is Russ Jr. And then you have the younger son who is Ron. So when the movie starts, the kids are at home, the Zelinsky kids. And the daughter is on the phone with one of her friends. And she's telling her friends, yeah, my mom and dad had another fight. My mom left and went to go sleep at grandma's house. And so you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Right out the bat, that's drama, right?
Mom and Dad had an argument last night, and Mom spent the night at Grandma's. She just needed a rest. Right, her and me both.
But that whole, dad and mom in a bad place, I don't know why it's actually part of the movie. Because later she goes to work, I guess she's a realtor, she comes home, and she does say, okay, we have to talk. But they're not bickering and fighting and pissed at each other. And then he's like, oh, I shrunk the kids. And, they try to find the kids. So I don't understand what the whole, that, she could have just been at work. So I don't know why that's part of the story. But anyway, the kids are at home. The dad is upstairs in the attic. Now, he is working on this machine, which I guess he's been working on for 5 some years. he needs to make it work because he's going to some conference to try to convince, like, I guess, buyers and sponsors to jump into it. But, well, get up on it. With using this thing. But, of course, he doesn't get it to work. He instead, like, blows up an apple when he tries to shrink it. The neighbors next door, they are going on a camping trip. So every time we see them, the dad and the mom are like packing up and doing inventory. I don't know why the dad has frozen food stacked up outside and he's doing inventory on them. And he's doing the inventory for a while. So I don't understand why he just didn't do that in the house or in a cooler or anything. One of the kids doesn't want to go camping. The other one is excited to go camping. So that's where they are at the beginning of the movie. Ron, the younger son, I guess he decides while he's waiting to go camping, he's going to play baseball. No one wants to play baseball because they're going camping. So do something. But he plays baseball by himself and he goes and he swings the ball and it goes into the attic window where the machine is that Wayne is working on. He activates the machine and the machine is now just looking around the room, and I guess decides, couch, soup, zaps. And the machine actually works. He shrinks the couch, he points at a chair, it shrinks the chair. So what's happening is there's this laser on the machine, and I guess the laser's getting super hot to the point that whatever it zaps, it blows up. But when the baseball got in front of the laser, it wasn't as strong, and the machine actually works. So Russ Jr. comes over with Ron, and he's like, we got to go tell the neighbors what you did. So they do. They go in the house. Nick and Ron go upstairs first to get the baseball. But when they do, the machine is still on its own working and zaps the two boys. It shrinks them. So then later, Amy and Russ go upstairs, and then they get zapped. Okay, so now the four kids are upstairs in the attic. They're like, what the hell happened?
Amy! Ross! Amy!
Nikki.
Ron?
Nick, what happened? We're all the size of boogers.
The dad comes home from work, well, that conference rather, and he's looking for the kids, and he goes upstairs, and then he's like super pissed, and he starts to like beat up the machine. Which, I don't know. Like, you've been working on the machine and you're just taking like a big old pole and you're just whacking it and whacking it. Like, do you really, why don't you just unplug it? Be like, fuck you, machine. So he starts beating it, and all these parts, these random little ass parts are breaking off and falling to the ground. And then he's like, oh, God damn it, I gotta clean. So, but he does notice that his sofa and chair are gone, right? I guess it's a thinking couch. So that shit's missing, but he's like, okay, all right. So he decides to sweep, and he ends up sweeping the kids up into the garbage. So he takes the garbage out, he puts it out in the alley, and he goes back inside. So the kids manage to get themselves out of the bag and realize they're in the backyard and now have to make the trip to the house. Okay, now watch it as an adult. I'm like, how? Okay, it's like dark as hell in this bag. How are they finding their way to the side of this bag? And then you have to get something to cut a slice, a hole to get out of the bag. What are they cutting with? It's dark as hell in that bag. So are they just feeling around and then like everything would be big for them? So it's not like someone said, hey, do you have a pocket knife? Oh yeah, rip. But anyway, I don't want to ruin the movie for myself. So that's pretty much what the rest of the movie is. It's the way they have to get to the house and all the issues they encounter on the way. So like the first one off the bat is like a bee shows up. So this they're at this flower and a bee comes down and Nicky ends up on it because he's in the plant with the pollen. And anyway, so Nick and Russ end up on this bee that is now flying around his backyard. So Wayne is outside and he sees this bat and he just starts like whipping at the damn bee. Like, who does that with a bat? But it's at that moment that Wayne is like, wait, Nick doesn't play baseball. Like, why is there a baseball bat in my backyard? And he looks up and that's when he sees the hole in the window. So he's like, God damn it. So he goes upstairs and he ends up stepping on his couch. Or was it the chair? And I think he stepped on the chair. And he looks down and then he picks the stuff up and he's like, oh my God, this is my couch. That was the chair. Oh my God, the machine works. So I guess it was at that time where he realizes like, oh my God, wait, the kids are missing. My stuff has been shrunken. And then I guess he puts two and two together and realizes like, oh my God, I swept the kids up in the garbage. And he goes outside, he finds the bag, and sure enough, he sees that there is a cut in the bag. So he's like, oh, the kids are in the backyard. And now it becomes a whole, like, don't step on the grass thing. But then at one point, he's on these, like, crutches on the grass. Where do these crutches come from? And then he ends up like with the hose, he ends up turning on the sprinkler. So now the kids have to deal with water falling on them and making like mud puddles and oceans and shit in the backyard. All right, so one thing I always kind of hated about this movie, well, they make it so that the kids stay together, so all four of them is going through this together. But you know, if you get carried away with a bee and you fall from this bee, I thought for sure they were gonna have like Russ and Amy on one side of the yard, and then Ron and Nick on the other side of the yard, and eventually they'll come together. But it seems like they just ran into each other like super quick. Which I as an adult call bullshit on that. So before Wayne figured out that the kids were shrunk, the wife did come home. And they were talking, and she was like, where are the kids? He's like, I don't know. And then she goes, well, I'm going to go look at the mall, look for them at the mall. Because the one girl was going to go to the mall. Well, there's only one girl, but Amy's going to go to the mall anyway. So the mom goes there, she's looking around, and then she comes out, and then she uses a payphone. Kids, do you know what a payphone is? So anyway, it's not until she gets back to the house after that, then she figures out that the neighbor's kids are missing too. And then Wayne is like, well, our kids aren't missing. They're in the backyard. She's like, what? And he goes, yeah, but there's a problem. I shrunk the kids. And then there's this whole like fainting thing.
You did it. It works. The machine works. Do the kids know?
Well, yeah, the kids know.
That's great.
No, it's not that great.
Why?
I shrunk the kids.
What?
And the Thompson kids, too. They're about this big. They're in the backyard.
What?
Threw them out.
Did you report the missing children?
Oh, there must be some mistake. Ours are in the backyard. Right, honey?
And like, now that I'm an adult, this is the part where the cops come over because they call the cops before he tells the wife about the situation. So the cops are at the Thompsons, and then they're like, oh, we have another runaway call. It's the house next door. And then they get there, and he's like, oh, well, my kids are in the backyard, right? And then the wife faints, and the cops are like, uh-huh. and they just turn around and leave. Like, I watch a lot of murder shows now, and I'm like, okay, first of all, they're very suspicious. I need you to investigate this family. All right, so at this part of the movie, the kids are walking, and they find this oatmeal cookie because this Nick kid just loves oatmeal cookie, like those cream sandwich pie things. So now they're eating, and while they're eating, they look up and they notice that there's an ant on it, right? Now, if there's a cookie on the ground, there's going to be like a swarm of bugs just everywhere on top of this food. So it's kind of funny that only like one ant appeared. And how long was that cookie there? Like, when did he drop it? Is it from like a week ago or something? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I never understood like how long that cookie's been sitting out there. But this one ant comes and, they're scared of it. And the ant's trying to take the cookie and blah, blah, blah. And they decide, well, you know what? We can use the ant for travel. So they rodeo the ant. And they name him Auntie. And then they use it to pull like some leaves behind it. So, to help them get to the house a little quicker. But that night, they find a Lego in the backyard and they decide they're going to use that to sleep. But while they're sleeping, a scorpion comes. And now this scorpion is fucking everything up. So, Auntie, which at one point they were like, okay, you need to go away. You carried us too far. Like, you can leave, but the ant didn't want to leave, right? Aw. And a good thing he didn't, because the ant ends up fighting with the scorpion, right? Now, unfortunately, the scorpion won the battle. And he does retreat and goes away. You guys, when I tell you, I was like, am I tearing up right now? Because I forgot how sad it is when the ant dies. Oh, he like sacrificed his life. But then it's so funny because I killed an ant in my house like a month ago. I had no remorse. So, well, now I feel bad.
It's my life. It's gonna be okay.
So the next morning, we see that Wayne is back in the attic and he's trying to put the machine back together. So he's fixing it, right? But now again, as an adult, how are you fixing it? Like, you just banged this thing earlier, like the day before. All these little pieces fell off and you threw it away. I know your ass didn't go back to that garbage and get the shit out of there. I mean, there was like I don't know what these things are called. Like those green boards with the little gold dots and things. Like, that was broken. There was like this tube thing that was broken that fell on the floor. So I'm trying to figure out, like, you've been working on this thing for 5 years and you put this thing back together in one night. I call shenanigans on that. Also, what's happening outside is Nick had this friend who, I guess he was going to let this kid mow their lawn. Now, there's a big sub-story within this movie about this backyard, right? Because not only are the kids in there, people keep talking about how his grass is like overgrown, okay? And I even noticed this as a kid too, because there's some scenes where you look at the grass and you're like, it's been mowed. Like, it's super short as hell. And then there's other times you look at the grass and it's fucking shaggy as hell. So I don't understand, like, was the editing just out of order? Because it's long 1 minute, it's short another minute, and then it's long again when we need it to be. So instead of the boy like knocking on the doors saying like, hey Nick, I'm here, like, he just goes to the lawnmower and turns it on, right? And the kid was supposed to bring cookies. Did he have cookies in his hand? So anyway, this boy is about to, he is mowing the lawn. And then the parents find out and run outside. And instead of just going up to this kid and tapping him, they're just yelling at him. But in the 80s, we used to have headphones on with our Walkman. So he can't hear them at first. But of course, it affects the kids. Like, they go into this earthworm hole. But at the last minute, when the lawnmower is still, ends up being like right over this hole, and then they almost get like sucked up. But apparently it does kind of help them get closer to the house because they come up and they fly. So they didn't go into the blaze, but they did like get flown away. So when the kids look up, they see the mom and the dad are digging through the dirt, and they get the idea to get the dog out now that they're closer to the house. If they could get the dog, and you're probably like, what dog? Well, I didn't say this before, but they have a dog named Quart. Quart? Quart. Anyway, there's a dog, and they call the dog because the dog has sensitive hearing, and they grab onto the dog's face, and the dog gets into the house and lets the kids out onto the kitchen table. But at one point, Nick falls into Wayne's bowl of Cheerios, right? Milk and all. And he's just, it's suspenseful. We're like, oh my God, is he going to get eaten? And before he takes a bite, like the dog bites his leg, and he looks, he sees Nick in the spoon, and then he finds the other kids. So that's how they make it back to the house.
Eyes open. Oh my God, look at this.
So they call the Thompsons over, and they're like, okay, he's about to experiment with the machine to make sure, everything's good. He still doesn't know that the baseball is what was causing things to explode. So the kids had to do some charades and be like, baseball, baseball. And then he goes, oh yeah, that's right. There was a hole in the window. So they put the kids on this table and they use it, and everything is all back to normal. The two families seem to have come closer together, and the movie ends with them at Thanksgiving in the Zelensky's house with a big ass turkey. Now, why are y'all just feeding this turkey to yourselves? Y'all should have had a house full of 50 people. Who talk about leftovers? What do you do with that? Are they they're probably getting cancer. They're eating radiation right now. Oh, and then, and I'll admit, I didn't understand this joke when I was little, and then, I don't know, I was in my teens, and then I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, I get it now. I will admit. Because earlier when the sprinkler was on, Amy almost drowned in a pool of mud, and Russ had to go in and save her. So he's blowing in her mouth, and then Nick is like, well, how'd you learn that? And he said, French class. And Nick through the whole movie's like, French class? Which doesn't make sense because you're doing CPR, but I get what they're doing. I get it. So at the end of the movie, Nick says,
I get it. French class.
and then I was like, oh, because, it's French kissing and stuff. But is that a funny joke though? I don't think that's, maybe it was funny at that time. I don't know. That joke didn't age. Did it age very well, or am I just thinking too hard about this? So that was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know what? There are these two characters that I guess the Thompsons were supposed to go camping with. So you just hear that they have a 4-hour drive ahead of them. But then these two people show up, and he just learned, and they were like, oh, well, you don't go, you lose your deposit. I guess that's just supposed to be well, darn, my kids are missing, and my kids are more important than camping. But the father is the wife, he tells them that the wife is sick. So he doesn't admit it, I guess, to show that he doesn't want to be a bad parent, I guess. I mean, the other couple don't have kids. They didn't show kids. I just don't understand why that couple was there. Did we need them? We could have just known that they were going camping and now they can't because the kids are missing. That's it. What is... I feel like they were just adding things to this script. Like that and the damn... Wayne and Diane. That whole, they had another fight and, whatever. Okay, well, you shrunk the kids. Those were irresponsible. So if I'm already pissed at you that morning, I'm going to be more pissed at you. But anyway, they don't. I don't understand why that's part of the movie. So in 1992, they made a sequel to this movie. It was called Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. So I think it was Rick Moranis. I think the daughter came back, but I know definitely the son was in the movie. And everyone else is new. So maybe I'll talk about that one. I should probably rewatch that one too. But in 1997, they did make a third movie. It was called Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and that was just awful. They could have just Disney, stop. They should just stayed at 2. But they made a third one, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was was it a TV made for TV movie? I don't think that shit was in the theater. But then, speaking of TV, there actually was a series. It was a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV series. I think I only watched one season. And I'm like, this is trash. Like, I don't like this. And that mess ran for 2 or 3 seasons. I think it was 3 seasons. But I only watched the one just to see what was happening. But yeah, they tried it. It didn't work. But anyway, back to this one. Looking at the special effects, I think a lot of it still holds up because we didn't have all that CGI. There was a little CGI stuff here and there. However, I think with the ant and the scorpion, that was all stop motion that they did, which is okay. That's, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. But as far as the actual ant they're riding on, there's puppeteers moving it. So there was a lot of practical effects. The set was ginormous. And I remember watching it was a special after the movie came out, and they were talking about the making of. The whole cereal bowl. That was an actual big, huge bowl this kid was in that they built. They put water in it. They put white powder or something to make the milk. And then they built these Cheerio tubes. The grass. They had to build all the grass. They, they did a lot to make that set. So it still looks pretty good. I mean, there's some movies I go and look back at it. I go, what the hell? Why did I like this crap? But I think they really did a good job at it, and a lot of it still kind of holds up today. So good job on that, Disney. And then I learned that this movie originally was supposed to be called Teeny Weeny. So glad they changed the title of this. Mom, I want to see Teeny Weeny. Take me to Teeny Weeny. Mom, I love Teeny Weeny. Can you imagine? Okay, you guys, so if I had to rate Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you know what? I had a good time going down memory lane. I'm going to give this movie 4 shots. I still had a good time watching it. And I remember all the times I used to watch it, and I loved it. I loved it. It's a good movie. So, cheers. Ooh. All right, you guys, let me know your thoughts of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Let me know in the comments. Did you ever watch it? Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? Did I miss anything crazy? Yeah, let me know. So, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you all in the next episode. So, until then, TTFN.